Hello book besties, my name is Riley and welcome to or back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing an honest review of the Harry Potter series. So I did not read the Harry Potter series growing up, but I just recently, last month, finished the Harry Potter series, so I thought I would do an honest review of it as an adult reading it. I wanted to make this video for anyone else who's in the same position as I am and haven't read it growing up or may not have seen the movies or haven't read it in their adult life yet, so I'm making this video for them. Without further ado, grab some coffee, tea, water, maybe even a snack, and let's get started. Okay, so I'm starting off with the first book, of course. I'm going to be doing each book and then a series as a whole. The first book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I'm gonna be holding this one because I can't find the first book in a series. I have no clue where it is. It's definitely here. I'm just blind. Can't find it. My books are not organized in any way, shape, or form, and I should probably do that. But yes, so this is the first book, and I read this back in June of 2021. I really enjoyed this book, even though it is a middle grade read. I had really low hopes for this one because I knew a lot of people loved it, of course. Like, there's got to be something amazing about it to have such a presence still today, years and decades after it was written. But I had low hopes because it was a middle grade read and I wasn't, you know, the target audience for this book, but it was really good. It was definitely surface level and it didn't really get too much into Harry's past per se, but it was still a very good book. When I first read it, I would rank it 3.5 out of 5 stars. But if I were to go back and reread it, I probably would give it 4 or 5. Have this book, you kind of learn about Harry's, you know, the accidental magic he uses, or his home life, and a little bit about the background. You find a little bit about that, and I thought it was so cool seeing his point of view of Hogwarts for the first time. I think that's so cool, and the way JK explains it is amazing. And you kind of get a little bit of heroism, and it's very much like a middle grade read the way that JK wrote it, but it is still really good and still really entertaining as an adult. So yeah, I really enjoyed the first book. Now I have the second book here. It's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I tried reading this after I finished the first book, but I just really couldn't get into this book. I think I was kind of more focusing on like the romance or thriller genres at the time, so I just didn't have like the motivation almost to read this. But I'm also going to be using my book journal a little bit to reference back to my notes on each book. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars, but this is honestly probably one of the least favorites out of the series, so I probably should go back and give it like 4 out of 5 stars. With that being said, they're all still really amazing. In my notes I said I loved this. It had spiders and snakes and Tom Riddle, and I think I really enjoyed the book aspect. If you know what I'm talking about, that's all I'm really going to say because I don't want any spoilers. Again, I loved how she wrote it and how the like main issue or the main problem within this book, I loved how it kind of kept me guessing. I didn't really have any ideas. In this book still, it's very surface level, but it's still really good. I really love the Chamber of Secrets, but again, out of the whole series, this is probably my least favorite, but it's still a really good book. You know, I feel like I should take that back because I'm reading my notes and I'm like going back on that word. But I have The Prisoner of Azkaban, and this is the 3rd book in the series. In my book journal, I have it as 4 out of 5 stars. I said it was good, but not as good as number 2, so maybe I should take back what I said about number 2 not being my favorite. I did like the ending and how, I'm not going to say it, but I did like how they had to solve the problem. Thought it was a lot of fun. This one gets a little bit more deeper, where I feel like the first 2 books are kind of like surface level in the sense of like, you know, they're easy middle grade reads, but you don't get like a lot of character development, but you don't get like the deep stuff from those books. But you kind of start getting it here. You get a little bit more insight into Harry in his past, and you get to see Harry develop more as a wizard in this one as well, and that was a lot of fun. The next book we have is the 4th in the series, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, and I said I definitely like it. Probably my favorite Harry Potter books so far, and I still stand with that. This is probably my 2nd book in the series. It was so good. I loved the aspect of the Triwizard Tournament. This is not a spoiler, I promise. You see the main characters develop more into teenagers and less like children, and I think that was really fun to read, and I loved the tournament aspect, and the ending absolutely made my jaw drop. Again, not saying it, but after I finished it, I went and immediately grabbed the next book because it was that good and it was definitely left on a cliffhanger. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite books. It just so good. Okay, so the next book I have is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and I ranked this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I said I didn't like the end scene that much, and you can definitely, in this book, you can see Harry express his emotions more and get more frustrated with his situation. You can kind of see him being like very angry or just frustrated. I have my own theory on that, but again, this is spoiler free, so I'm not going to talk about it. This book definitely made me the most frustrated, not only because Harry was frustrated, of course, but also because of like just the situation of where Hogwarts was at that point in time. But you can really see Harry Potter start to get super like rebellious in his acts in this one. I thought this was so cool in that aspect, so yeah, that is the Order of the Phoenix. Now, the 6th book in the series is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. And I said that this book had me sobbing. I loved it. The end of chapter 29, it absolutely broke my heart. I have to say it. I was sobbing like a baby. And then my roommate came in because she's also a Harry Potter fan. And then I got actually my tears stained on her shirt, and I made her read the last couple sentences in chapter 29, and she also started like tearing up. It was a mess. It was so good though. This book is so different from the rest of the other ones. Like, you can see really them grow as teenagers in the 4th book, but then you can see them more acting as adults in this book as well. A little bit in the Order of the Phoenix, but definitely more so in this book. You see them more as adults than like children. That is the Half-Blood Prince. Also, I forgot to mention, they find a way how to defeat Voldemort in this one. You see them making those like quests to do it, and that was also a really interesting part in this one as well. The last book in the series is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I rated this one 5 out of 5 stars, and I said best book ever written. Healed my thoughts with Harry and Harry's family and everyone around them. I'm not going to say the other names because it kind of spoils it. But if I could, I would give this one 6 out of 5 stars. It was that good. I stand by my statement saying that this is the best book that has ever been written. And it is. It absolutely shattered my heart and then also healed it at the same time. And I think the reason why the Harry Potter series is so beloved is because of how well J.K. writes it, and or how everything wraps up in the end and just makes sense and how everything's plotted. I'll get more into that one, but this book has my heart. It's the best book that's ever been written. I stand by my statement. Can't change my mind. Now that I've gone through all of the books, I'm going to be talking a little bit as a series as a whole. Now, I can see why someone would read the first maybe 2 books and not really want to carry on because they don't really see the hype. Like, it's good, as I said, it's really interesting. But does it give you that deepness that you're craving and that the movies give you if you've seen the movies? No. But what I recommend to anyone who is starting to read these books is to push through those first 2 books. I'm not saying push through in a negative aspect. I'm saying it more so as like, get ready for the deep stuff, like take in the lightness of those books. I briefly touched about this, but the reason why I think it is such a beloved series, it's because of how amazing J.K. has, number one, written the books. You can read it as an adult and still enjoy it, but then it's also like a seriously great middle grade read as well. Like, you can read as a child or an adult and enjoy it at any age. But the way that J.K. has written the world, it's amazing. Like, again, everything has a purpose, and something so small and so miscellaneous, you may think, has a huge purpose in the book, and everything just wraps up and it makes sense, and it is just so amazing. You can see the characters grow from like a child to a teenager to like starting to become an adult. It is just an amazing transformation just reading about them. Even as an adult, I still would recommend anyone who hasn't read them to read them. I was very like, do I even want to start these? You should. I had a friend recently reread the first one, and she loved it just as much as she did when she was a child or when she was younger, and she gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So if you've read it when you're young and you're like debating to reread it again and you don't want to like spoil the memories or the good thoughts of, you know, when you first read it, I still recommend to reread it. It's just as good, if not better, because you can understand more and piece it more together as an adult, and it's amazing. I can't even put into words about how much I love this series. Like, when I got done with this, I loved it so much. Like, it felt like I was putting a piece of my family away. Put me in such a bad book slump because of how much I loved these books. That is my honest review of the Harry Potter series. I give the series 5 out of 5. It is so good. When I was looking through Goodreads, all of them had like at least above a 4 stars, and consistently for all 7 books, and I have never seen that for any book series. That just says something. And the fact that it's still talked about as a series today, and now that J.K. Rowling is literally a household name, like that's insane. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I love making book videos. I upload every Friday. I hope you have an amazing rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this video, and I'll see you in the future, guys. Bye.